So thank you for joining me, Deepti. I really appreciate. Did I say your name properly?
Deepti, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate that. And we obviously just had a little chat, but I'm excited to know more about your property business and the journey you've been on. So do you want to just introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, everybody. My name's Deepti Chauhan. I live in Leicester. I've been brought up in Leicester, as you can tell from the accent. I was born in Kenya, came over when I was about 2 years old, I think, and lived in London for about 18 months and been in Leicester ever since. I love my hometown. It's an amazing place, and I don't think I'd ever want to move away. Yes, through this pandemic, we've had to, I wasn't working, my husband got made redundant, and so we thought, well, what we're going to do? I don't want to work for anybody else anymore. I'm fed up. We're at an age in our lives, do we really want to take people telling us what to do? So we started up our property business. It's something we've always wanted to do over the past sort of 10, 12 years, I think, but just never got around to doing because life gets in the way, as it, kids and university, got to, so it for us to do our own business just didn't make the right sense at the time. But in all honesty, I wish we'd started it then, because we could have done it a lot quicker. We'd have had the time to make the mistakes. So right now, any mistakes to us is sort of like 10 years off our business life, because we want to retire in the next sort of 3 to 5 years. So this sort of is a pension plan, as well as sort of keeping us busy after retire, because I don't completely want to retire. So yeah, the property business started, and we're starting off with a lettings firm, and then hopefully we'll get onto the property development side as well. I'm working with a great group of people who we network up and down the country, and it's just great meeting these new people and seeing what deals are out there and what we can do to help other people, and and it's amazing, which I never knew before I started this, and I started networking with the right people in property. It's not, you need to get the education, that's a must, but the networking side is so much more important, because that will give you the real not kick up the backside, but it'll hold you upright and make sure that if you feel being alone in business is tough, it's good, but it's tough, and you sometimes need somebody to bounce back off and say, look, this is what I did. And sometimes in the past, when I've had think, oh, I should, this isn't quite working for me.
Yeah,
we talk on these meetings, and all of a sudden you've got 15 different opinions of what and helpful hints of what you should be doing. And that is such a key thing. The education is a must, yes, but make sure you get it from the right people. Sometimes paying the most amount of money isn't getting the best education, so you don't need to feel that if you haven't got the money, you're not going to get the education. There is a lot of education out there. There are a lot of good people out there that do, not necessarily free, but it's good information. You pay a small amount, not the huge thousands of pounds which some come, and there's nothing wrong with them. I'm not knocking anybody, and I would never do that. They wouldn't be where they are if they weren't doing something right, that in my humble opinion. But for me, the big companies didn't work, purely because the personal service wasn't there. I, at the moment, have a business mentor. It's always good to have a mentor, and if you think about it in life, you've always got a mentor, whether it's your big sister or your mum or your best mate or your teacher or a work buddy, whoever it is, even if you're out training, you'll have a coach who's technically a mentor. They are telling you, you need to do this, you can push, and they push yourself to be that little bit better. So all throughout life, you always have mentors, and you need several types of mentors, in my opinion. You need a business mentor, you need a mind mentor that keeps you on the straight and narrow. You need a laughing mentor, because you need to laugh, you need to enjoy your life, enjoy what you're doing. And there's all sorts of mentors you can have, and they don't necessarily need to be from the same field. Like yeah, we're doing property right now, but some of my mentors aren't in that field. It's because they teach you, some of my mentors are well-being mentors, because there will often be days where you just think, oh my god, what have I let myself into? And there's absolutely, and people need to realize there's nothing wrong with that. Just take a step back, take a deep breath and think, right, what do I need to do next? And all the old cliches always come to mind. How do you eat an elephant, small chunk at a time? How do you start? You take one step and start small, and aim big. And it's all those old, and I say the cliches, they work. Those phrases absolutely work. And in this process, I now want to start helping other people myself. And also in the process, through meeting all these wonderful people, I've set up a couple of other little small side hustles, which then give me extra money. And money isn't a dirty word. I want to do good in life. I want to do lots of charitable work. But if I haven't got the money to do that charitable work, I don't just want to donate. And that's what I've always done, because I know if I can't do something, I'll donate.
Yeah.
But I want to go that one step further. If I not just want to donate, but I want to go to these little projects and see them through.
Yeah, exactly.
If I haven't got the money to do it, then it's difficult. So being in your own business makes you control how much money you earn, how much to give away, and how much time you give to each and everything in your life. And that's been the best thing about being, and property is the way to go. It doesn't matter what anybody says, because they will always be there. In life, as in with everything in life, you always have your ups and downs and your troughs and mountains and stuff like that. But anything to do with property will always be on the rise.
So you said that you do letting. So do you let other people's properties, or do
Other
you
people,
let your own? Okay.
other people's properties. Yeah, we
Okay.
will find landlords, and if they want to build on their portfolio, we'll find them a house or whatever they're looking for, and find the tenants for them, and we go through the whole vetting process and everything like that. So yeah,
Not a rent to rent, it's an actual lettings company.
it is, yeah. It's something the rent to rent is something I'm actually looking into as well, because obviously the thing I found is you can have all these grand ideas, but if you don't fully master one, you can't move on to the next. I couldn't move on to the next. So I said I'm going to master my lettings and get that done spot on. Then I'm going to start on some rent to rent and essays, because essays are the thing to go right now. There's a call for it. So there's a lot of because of the pandemic, obviously student houses didn't do too well. And we don't know what's going to happen this year either. A lot of them are still doing online classes until everyone's comfortable that things are going to move on in the correct direction. So there's a lot of houses out there, but like people visiting family, they don't always necessarily want a hotel. They want something like home. So and people in one of my groups, she says, oh, and I said, well, Leicester, how could I do an essay in Leicester? Because what would be the need? Leicester's a beautiful city, there's lots to see and do, but it's not necessarily a tourist spot like Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Although we do now have the King Richard III monument and stuff like that, which is absolutely amazing. So if you're ever down in Leicester, please do go and visit that. But yeah, but then she says, when I visit my family or parents visiting people who will go back to the universities, parents are going to need somewhere to stay. They obviously may not necessarily want a hotel, but they're limited to what they can do. If they had an essay, they had a little home from home as such, they could come and go as they please and eat and drink where they want to, because not everybody can afford to have a hotel and eat out all the time when they're visiting, say, a son or a daughter in university. So this way they can have a little family get together in the essay and not have to worry about costs of eating out all the time or anything like that. So it's sort of reducing costs that way, but still having the family time together. And so a friend of mine suggested, why don't try a couple of essays. So yeah, that's something I'm looking into. It's always learning. Every day I'm learning. You know, there's always something new to learn, something new to try and do, and something new to explore. And that's what I love, because I love learning, you know, and I could quite happily sit all day and read and learn about new things, but you've got to go out and experience it and do it. So yeah, I'm a definite learner. You know, I'll be a lifelong learner, whether it's through books and education. I love motivational books. I've got so many on my Kindle. I've got so many on my bookshelf. Some of them which are in the attic because we've been decorating. We're still in the middle of decorating. So, and I could quite happily fill a whole room full of. I could have my own library at home. I've got so many books because reading is one of my pleasures. You know, it's my little escapism. Especially when the kids are little. My kids have all grown up now, so you know I can do really what I want. But when they were little, reading was my escapism, because we didn't have a lot of money, so we couldn't go out too much. And you know, sometimes friends were going out, I couldn't go out because I didn't have a babysitter. My husband was working a lot, so I'd sit there and read. And if I couldn't afford brand new hardback covers, I'd go to the charity shops and buy paperbacks.
Pretty shop, me.
Oh, I love them. I've got some brilliant bargains from there, and some really good books which I've kept and treasured. And people say, well, why do you keep them? Why don't you give them to other people? I says, yeah, but when I'm gone, then the kids can give them away to charity and do what they want with them. But until I'm here, I want to feel and touch, because books, I think, are such a brilliant tool to learn language, to learn escapism, to learn how to dream. And you know, if you're in business, you have to dream. You have to dream big. You have to plan big. And that's what a lot of my books are teaching me right now. Write down your goals. What do you want to do? They don't have to be big goals, and you can have short-term, long-term, mid-term goals, and tick them off as you go along. And that in itself gives you such huge satisfaction, you know. And that's one of the things, as I said, we've always wanted to go into property, but it's the step we've not taken. So this time last year, we says, right, we're going to do it. And we actually registered our company. We got to do all the paperwork. We got documents ready. We got our own logo. We got our boards up, and we got our, you know, name of the company. Choosing the name of the company was important to us, because we didn't just want to be another property company. We wanted something ethical, family orientated, and we wanted to stand out from the crowd. And we may turn away a lot of people, custom, because it's not within our ethics to work with.
Talk to me a little bit about that. What makes you turn somebody away because they don't fit your ethics?
Always looking to do stuff on the cheap, because as landlords, although I'm not a landlord myself, I think other landlords need to appreciate the fact that as landlords, you're giving somebody a home, you know. And if we have our own home, we'd never sort of scrimp on doing something to it. So why would you scrimp on somebody? It's, at the end of the day, it's still your house, and doing something cheap doesn't necessarily equate to bigger profits, because you'll lose tenants, you'll lose devalue the house. You know, being a landlord, in my opinion, people become landlords to build a nest egg, you know, and to have equity. But if you're doing stuff on the cheap, then you're not doing that, and you're not doing a service to the tenant, you're not doing a service to yourself or anybody involved. You know, you're people like us, lettings agents, at the end of the day, we speak to the tenant more than the landlord does. And you know, we have to be able to say to the tenant, look, we'll come and do this for you, we'll get this sorted for you. But if the landlord doesn't allow us to spend the money, you know, and at the end of the day, we're in this to make money as well as everybody else. But I wouldn't, if a landlord says to me, get it done on the cheap, I don't think I would want to work with them, because from that first statement that says get it done on the cheap, it means they don't care about me, they don't care about the tenant, they don't care about the property. So, and I think that's quite important, because the landlords have had such a bad rap over the past few years because of, you know, the horrible landlords you hear stories about, and they're cramming people into them, and they're not doing their due diligence and not looking after the tenants. At the end of the day, if you don't look after your tenants, you know, you're going to keep having a turnaround of tenants, and that's not what you want. You want something stable, you want something secure, so you know your property is always let out, and you know, you're doing the maintenance on the property and you do it correctly. And that's one thing, it's from my upbringing, you know, do things correctly, do things the right way, and karma will come back. If you don't do it, karma will come back and bite you in the backside, sort of thing, you know. And I've seen it happen to so many people, and to me, I could never work that. I couldn't sleep at night.
Yeah.
If I did took on a landlord and says do it on the cheap, and I do it, say like I need to get some money in this month, you know, I need to get so many new landlords in.
Yeah.
But then you think, oh, am I doing the right thing? Yes, I may not have the money in my bank, but I'll be able to sleep at night, because if something, if I did something for a landlord on the cheap, or he got it done on the cheap, so, you know, because some landlords say that you don't do the work, I'll get the work done. I need to be able to trust that landlord to get the correct work done, correct way, and make sure it's not a cowboy job, basically. You know, I couldn't work with people like that, because I wouldn't want it being done to me, so I wouldn't do it to other people.
Yeah.
And that's why we says we wanted a moral, ethical company, that, you know, we only want to work with people who are like-minded,
Yeah.
because it's got to mean something. Yes, we're in business to make money, and you know, the profit has got to be there. But you know, I'd be happy with a smaller profit and knowing that I've done the best thing for everybody, and I want to sleep at night. I can't. I always tell the truth, you know, because even when I'm selling something, I always say, well, look, this is what's happened to it, and this is what we've done, and then it gives people the choice. I couldn't live with myself if something happened to somebody, and because of something I didn't say or do.
Yeah.
And so, you know, my company has got to be ethical, it's got to be morally sound. And because I'm that sort of person, and I think it will show, and it may take a little while longer for us to get to the stage where we want to, but that's okay. I'm willing to
Yeah.
pace it out, because as I said, I've got to sleep at night.
You
You
said
know,
you've been working with some other people and helping them start their own businesses. So is that in property too, or are there other little hobby things you've got on the side there?
it's little other hobby things. It's like I've joined a group called 0 to 10,000K in 12 months, which is like, I make that much money, then I help other people make that much money, you know, through trading. And it's a wonderful thing, and it doesn't take up a lot of my time. It gives me that little bit of extra. The one thing I have learned, you can't rely on one stream of income. You know, you have to have, because last year, if we hadn't have got into our business, we'd have been struggling again, because we only had our jobs, and that was our one source of income. And misguidedly, we thought that was the correct way to go. You can't, you know, you can do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and earn, you know, a few pound here, there. But we've discovered that you need more than one stream of income, whether it's two, three, however many you can cope with. And there are lots of ways to do other streams of income. You just got to do the one that's right for you. We found one that's right for us, and it helps us. It's another business which gives us two streams of income, and you know, and that's the way it's going to be, because in this day and age, if something, whatever happens, you know, if one of us, something happens to one of us and one of us can't work again, at least we know the business will still keep going, slower and smaller, that's okay, but the income will drop. Then we've still got these other two streams of income, sort of thing. You know, it's always going to be a juggling act, but life is a juggling act. So, you know, I'm not scared of hard work, but I'm loving it because I'm meeting so many new people and helping other people, and it's just me. It's, you know, because because I wasn't working for a couple of years, I'd sort of lost myself, because I need to be around people. And with the pandemic, yes, although it was nice spending time with my boys, got to know them again because they're older, and you know, when they're, as they start finding jobs, they're out and about, and you know, they don't talk to you as much as they used to when they were little. So in that sense, it was nice spending the time with them and everything like that, and they helped us with the business and everything. But now, as we come out of lockdown slowly, that was time precious to me, because I had precious time when they were little, I had precious time now in their 20s and 30s. So it gave me the chance to get to know them again as adults, not just as children, but as adults, you know, get to really know them again. You know, I love them, we know each other's habits and things like that, but we helped each other through setting up our goals.
Yeah.
And you know, and my oldest son said he's going to get married, so it's sort of working our way through all of that and everything. So yeah, it's this past year has been, and I know I hate using this cliche word of journey, but it has, you know, I had a lot of not depression, I wasn't depressed, I don't think, but I had a lot of issues I had to work through, and it gave me the chance to do it while they were there. And although I've not told them everything, why I'd done certain things and why I had to be the way that I was over the past couple of years, it's made me a stronger person. I think made me able to cope with things, because obviously I lost my dad and my father-in-law, who was like a dad to me anyway, and it gave me, I felt lost basically, you know, because I was looking at my kids were grown up, and then I was looking after the two dads because the two mums had passed away, and I felt like I needed a purpose. And because when they passed, and it was so heartbreaking to lose them both at the same time, you know, and it's sort of, they're both, you know, they were both quite poorly, so in a sense I wouldn't want them hanging on, and I wouldn't want to keep them alive just for the sake of, because I feel happy having them around. But yeah, it's been a hard sort of 5-6 years since they've passed away. And my dad was my hero, absolute hero to me, and it was quite difficult. And I went back into the job, but then I think I didn't grieve properly. I didn't let myself get rid of that grief. And I think that's what happened when I sort of became ill, in a job that I loved, but it made me ill. So I says nothing is worth that. So now this is what I do. I build my own business at my own pace. I help other people as well. And, you know, from this, I'm hoping to get a lot more money, which then I can do my sort of charity, whatever, you know, there's lots of stuff that I want to do. I want to have centres all around the UK for people to come and do arts and crafts and cooking, and you know, there's a lot of sports things out there, which is all good, and they need to be there as well, because there's a lot of kids out there whose parents can't afford after school clubs and to send them to sports, but they're gifted, talented children. So the sports thing is absolutely fantastic, but there's also a lot of creativity there which isn't brought out in schooling, and that's no fault of the schooling, it's just the way it is, you know. And there's a lot more that needs to be done in schooling, but that's not my battle, and that's not the battle that I'm choosing to fight.
That's a little bit of my battle, but yeah.
Yeah, but you see what I mean? It's, you know, it's too big a battle, and it's not something that I really want to, it's not the fight that I want. The fight that I want is to have centres and little shop fronts and people where anybody, it doesn't necessarily have to be children, but anybody can come in if they've got a creative streak in them, or they just want to try something without spending too much money to get into, you know. This year has taught us all so much about mental health and mental well-being, and craft and creativity is such an outpouring of stress. It's amazing, you know. It takes you away from anything else that's bothering you. It gives you the chance to de-stress and relax and think things through without having to think things through, if that makes sense. It sort of takes a problem away without you actually, just your head's just like that. You don't want that. And craft and cooking and things like that, and not everybody's got the capability or the ability or have all the bits and pieces that's needed. So I'd love to have set up all these little centres, not big massive ones, but just little ones, so they can come and do painting, they can do cooking and all kinds of the soft crafts, sewing, knitting and crocheting and felting, and there's so many little crafts like that you could do it. And then there's the cooking. People have got to eat more healthy, and if the family hasn't got the chance to, for whatever reason, working parents, not enough money, and this year has definitely shown how bad it is in the country that children have had to go out without food, and it's so heartbreaking. It's nobody in this day and age, we're in the 2021, nobody should go without food, and it's been heartbreaking, and I want to be able to do more, and teaching people to cook cheaply, conveniently, and something they can share with people. It's a bonding experience for a start, that getting to know neighbours and family and friends more again, which is something I think we've lost over the years. I grew up in a neighbourhood, we never locked our doors, we knew all the neighbours, the neighbours helped each other out, and I think over the years people have got so blinkered in their thinking because of work, and whatever the reason. I'm not saying people are being selfish, it's just something that's happened. And it's a shame, and I think this year has taught us that we need to get to know our neighbours again and get to know people again, have that art of talking, have that art of cooking, have that art of being together as a group and just sitting talking and doing stuff and making things, and whether it's for charity or for you or for your home, whatever, as gifts. It's a brilliant thing. That's one thing I'd really, really love, because I'm passionate about that. I mean, all of this you see behind me is all my crafting.
Oh, is it? I was wondering in those cupboards. Yeah.
It's all my crafting, my cake baking. I have to cover it. My family gets so fed up. I've got so many sewing machines. I've got an embroidery machine, but I want to get a bigger one, so I want to do more, but I just haven't got time. And I know that's a cliche, but I want to get my business set up so it runs smoothly. Then I can get people in, I can give people jobs to help me out, and then I can do all these other bits and pieces as well. So I've just turned 58. I still think I've got a lot of life in me, a lot of love to give, and I want to continue working, maybe part-time. I'm not quite ready to, I want to retire, but I'm not quite ready for it. And even if I did retire, I think I'd still be doing something.
I think you'd be doing some craft.
I would, definitely.
And
cooking, crafting. One thing I hate is cleaning. Absolutely hate cleaning. So I would employ somebody. I would give people jobs to come and do the jobs that I don't want to do. I don't like doing. I do because I need doing, but I'd rather be crafting or reading, and sort of, to me, the only time I'd put stuff down is to make dinner. But then I thought, oh, I've got to sort the washing out, I've got to sort the dishes out and wash the bath and everything like that. So stuff like that, and I know there's people out there that absolutely enjoy it. I'd pay them to have enjoyment and get paid for it, and that's a win-win situation for me.
Do you think this entrepreneurship and wanting that life for yourself, has that rubbed off on your sons, do you think?
Yes,
what do they do?
Definitely. My oldest son, he's a gas engineer. He started uni, did 2 years, didn't finish off his final year. He lost, because that's the time I lost my mother-in-law, and he felt lost. And I says, okay, I says, finish off a uni. Our parents, you think you got to do that, but right now he's got his degree in a different way, because he's worked himself up to being an assessor and assessing other students. For gas engineering and stuff like that, and plumbing and electricians and stuff like that. So in itself, he's carved his own career out, and then now he wants to start his own business doing the gas central heating and stuff like that. And so he'll do that as well. And my middle son, he works for a bank. He's gone into banking. He's got a university degree, but now he's seen us, and he's done 2 businesses. He set up 2 businesses as well himself.
Nice.
So, you know, and my youngest son, he's in China teaching.
Okay.
Yeah. He got his degree, didn't have time to register for his PGSE, is it, for teaching?
ECS.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't register it for him. I said, well, you're not sitting at home for a year, not doing anything. I said, get yourself a job. And the next thing I knew, he says, Mom, I'm going to China to teach. So, you know,
Cool. Is he going
yeah,
to stay there, or is he going to come back and do his PGCE? What's he going to do?
he's loving it there. He's absolutely having a ball of a time, and he just doesn't want to come back, I don't think. He's going to stay there for another 3 years, I think, because from being a TA, he's now actually teaching, properly teaching. And he said he's got a set of students which he wants to see through to the end of their, you know, however they grade from sort of nursery to primary to, and so he says he's got this set of students for the next 2 to 3 years. So he wants to see them through. Because I says to him, look, while you're there, travel around the other countries, teach in other countries. But he loves it. He's set in this school, and because my younger son is autistic.
Oh, okay.
So I've always said to him, don't let anything stop you. There's been never any negativity in the house. Any kids that come along, they can make a mess. It doesn't matter how nice my carpets, my sofas, whatever, they can eat on the table, they can eat on the sofa, they can have a drink on the settee. Kids are meant to be kids. So they have to, and people say, how can you let, because I've looked after my nieces and nephews, and my sisters-in-law will always say, oh, how can you let them eat like fromage frais on the settee? I said, well, why not? So what if it makes it dirty? Then I clean it. You know, to me, kids are meant to be kids. They're meant to enjoy life. They're meant to learn, to make mistakes and rectify those mistakes. And if they learn that if they want to eat, they've got to eat carefully. And if you don't let them learn, they've got to eat yogurt properly and not sort of jiggle about, and so it spills everywhere. And from little things like that, it makes a difference to me how you teach children. You know, kids have got to feel at home, and any child that comes to my house always feels at home, because they all know where the sweets and the crisps and the drinks are. They just go and help themselves. They don't even ask anymore. And I love that, because they feel at home here, and that's what my house, whoever comes here, will always be home to anybody that steps in.
I feel like you've considered fostering before. What you just said makes me think that. Yeah, you have.
I have. If it wasn't for my health right now, and because if I took on something, I'd need to be able to do it physically and mentally, and I'm not there. But if over the next couple of years my health gets better and I feel I can cope with it, I would, you know, I love children. Children, you know, I love teaching children. I love seeing them grow up. And to me, teaching kids, you know, when I see the nanny program, you know, on TV, and I see these parents, and I often think, how can, you know, you've got to be the parent. I know you've got to create a home, but you've also got to be the parent. You've got to learn to say no to the children. And I think that's where a lot of, in the younger children, and how they get out of control, because, and a lot of it's because parents don't know how they're having sort of health issues of their own, and the feeling of I can't cope and the overwhelm is hard. It's hard to deal with, and I understand that. But as parents, doesn't matter what, you know, every time I felt overwhelmed, my kids they've always come first. Doesn't matter how angry or how overwhelmed I am at a situation, I always take a step back and sit with my children, play with them, or talk to them, or show them something different, and that calms me down. That gets me through what I need to do. In the process, they've learned something new. They've learned some manners. They've learned how to say things correctly, which I think is so important to get along in society, that kids are taught correctly. And I think parents, they don't know how, and then which means their children aren't going to know how to do it, you know, and then their children aren't going to know it even further. And I think it's everything is just lost, you know, because my mum and dad, they always says you've got to be the best person that you can be, and don't do anything to others what you wouldn't want doing to you. And I think people don't realize that, and I think it's a shame. For whatever the reason, I don't blame anybody. I don't know what their life is. I don't know what their circumstances are, and stuff happens for whatever reason. And I'd want to help more people like that, to be honest with you, because I think they need somebody to show them. And sometimes, like, if I had grandchildren right now, if I could see my son struggling, I can go and give him a hug and say, look, son, you should be doing this, or take the the baby away and says, I'd mother them again myself, sort of thing, and I think people need that. And so, which is why these centres, which I'm hoping to open up, would give people, the parents, just that little bit of a break, that little bit of a breather. They can bring their child in, they do something together, learn to be a family, and I think that art is lost, of being a family together. And I'm so, in a way, the pandemic has taught people that you need to be a family. And I know parents have struggled with the homeschooling and everything. I just don't know how they've done it. I applaud those parents, I really do, because especially in families where they've only got one piece of equipment to do the homeschooling with. And I know a lot of schools have helped out and everything, and applaud them as well, because it's been hard on everybody, teachers, parents, kids. It's just been, but I think the pandemic has also taught us how to be families again, which is such a good thing. And as I said, it's given me and my boys to reconnect. They've started up their business as well, their entrepreneurship. It's, even as my kids are adults, we've managed to teach them something new. So it can't be a bad thing, can it? It's shown them that, age isn't anything. If you want something, you go out and get it. And this entrepreneurship thing, that it's for everybody, absolutely, from from 6, 7, 8 years old, selling sweets, whenever, or making lemonade and selling that, and whatever. Everybody has got an entrepreneur in them, and I would love to teach people that. It really would.
Normally at the end of an interview, I'll say, and what big message would you like to put out to the world? But I feel like you just said it.
Oh, thank you. I think all I want is the best for people, and I see people struggling, and it does hurt me. I can't see people struggling, and people just don't know how to ask, because they've just got so scared of asking. Don't be afraid. Ask. There's lots of people out there who are willing to help. There's so many beautiful people out in the world who are willing to help with any shape or form. Reach out to me. I'm quite happy talking to people if they want to start on their journey, because being an entrepreneur is the way to go. You've got, jobs are fantastic. Everybody needs a job. In it, to a certain extent, my business is my job, but it's on my terms, and if ever I did take somebody on, I'd make them be part of the business, because if they're succeeding, I'm succeeding, so they've got to share in my joy as well. So that's the way forward. I think entrepreneurship, definitely, all the way,
Well,
whatever it is.
Whatever it is, you got to follow your passion, right?
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Oh, thank you. It's sorry if I've waffled on, but I've
no, you haven't. I didn't even need to ask you many questions, because you could just go on to the next thing. So that was great. My job was easy today.
Oh, I told you, I'm a talker.
But it's been lovely chatting to you, and actually we only met this morning, really.
Really, yeah, other than on, see, this is the beauty of social media. I've made so many friends and people, as I said, I've met friends, family, acquaintances, and I love it. It's been brilliant. So thank you.
Have a fantastic day, and I'll speak to you again soon.
All right, see you. Thank you, Shona. Bye.
Bye.